handle the truth.
I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. The government's here, and they told me to tell you it's February 25th. It's a Wednesday, 2026. Okay. Did I do it right? Did I do it okay? Okay, yeah. That's what we do here. We're obedient. We always do what I told them that it's the date. I told them everything's fine. No, government, we're good. Anyway, I'm just giving you a hard time there. No, there's nobody. Well, yeah, the government's all around us, so not really in the. Do you see the government? Where does the government touch you? Everywhere. Anyway, Courtney Allen, good to see you. Happy Hump Day, she says. Oh, how about that SOTU? Yeah, the State of the Union was last night. Now, guys, I in anticipation of, I expected there to be God, I hit my hand today. Man, I whacked that. Look at that right there. Woo-wee. It's bleeding. Well, it was bleeding. Stop bleeding now. But last night, I was watching it. And, of course, I didn't hardly listen to, I wasn't really listening to what he was saying. But I was watching all the stuff in the background, all the different things. And it was, I've told you guys, if Obama would have invited me to the White House, I would have gone out of respect of the office itself. Now, would I sit there and chum up with the guy? I'd be like, dude, I don't believe in you. You know, what you guys are doing is wrong. I would have said that to him. But a lot of people don't have the moxie to do that. So the idea that what we had with the... Courtney says, I always feel like somebody's watching me. Like I got no privacy. Whoa. Anyway, we all know that song from the 80s. That's right. So anyway, last night we got to see really, I call it stupidity in motion. You could call it whatever you want. A lot of people going out of their way, pursuing an idea, pursuing that they're going to be disruptive. And so here's the problem, guys. I'm going to put my copper rod down. I'm going to rub this silver coin here. By the way, this is a really badass silver coin. This was given to me by one of my followers. It says liberty or death with the muskets and a tri-point hat with a skull, but on the back it says it's a silver shield with a sword with a heart. Anyway, this was really cool. Let me slow everything. I watched it last night, fell asleep, and then rewatched it today. Oh, well, there you go. Hey, Edward, good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being here. Now, let me get back to this for a second. Okay, why were there adult male and female bodies in a secured building that you had to have a special invitation to even go into the building? And then to go through all the stuff to go in there and then have like Al Green to get kicked out in the first 2 minutes like he usually does because he's just a piece of shit. But here's the problem. It used to matter if you called someone a piece of shit. It used to matter if you called someone a rapist. It used to matter if you called someone a racist. It used to matter if you called someone communist. It used to matter if you called them Marxist. It used to matter if you called them a fascist. It used to matter if we used the F word or the shit word or anything. It used to matter, but what we've done now to the point where everything is extreme. Everything is the most. Everything is extra. Everything is beyond what is just, you do you, boo. See, everybody's got a one-up. And here's the sad part of it. It's this goddamn phone in everybody's hand. Ooh, oh yeah, man, you get him, boy. You get him, hit that cop, boy. Yeah, run, woo, yeah. The little thumbs up that I ask her only because I'm trying to get more truth out there. I'm not doing this because half of my boobs hanging out or my big muscly t-shirt. Hope, Irving, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Hope, I think you were a new hey. So, hey, thank you for being here, Hope. I appreciate you being a part of the show. But when we went into the political correctness of things, and we all started toning down, and we all started using breathy tones about, oh, my feelings are hurt, and I need to find a safe place where I can now deal with the emotions I have for your aggression and your mean looks and your bravado. Oh. Don't say retard. That's a bad word. You know, even Charlie, he was almost 80 years old, and he felt bad. He wasn't 80 at the time, but he felt bad about that because we used to have this saying we used all the time. And the saying was as this: let's go ahead and offend the world. So when I was a young man, and I'm talking when I first met Charlie, it was this little phrase he said, and it was this little rhyme he did. And you'd be like, oh, it's right there. And he goes, oh, I see, said the blind man when the lame man walk and the deaf and dumb listen to the radio. Well, he thought that he shouldn't say the word deaf because Rebecca was deaf. And I'm like, Rebecca's deaf. Why wouldn't you not want her to listen to the radio? I see, said the blind man. Right? So this is, again, that was a thing. We were all going through all that. And we're all like, oh, we got to save space. And, oh, I got to feel secure in my blah, blah, blah. But now everything is, get your supervisor. This is a speeding ticket. Give a supervisor out here. I want a supervisor. Well, the sad part of it is that as much as get me a supervisor is very accurate and it does create a certain amount of safety for individuals, the problem is everybody uses it now. Everybody uses it, from a parking ticket to murder. It doesn't matter. Oh, I need a supervisor. I need my constitutional rights. All this bullshit. So everybody's a scholar. Everybody's a college graduate. Everybody's a World Series winner. Everybody's a Super Bowl winner. Everybody got a trophy. Everybody got a ribbon. Nobody kept score. Everybody's special. So nothing's special. Nothing means shit anymore. So to have Ilhan Omar and the other spaz attack get up there on their moment to be on the stage and then call Trump a killer in the House chambers, and Rashida Tlaib joining in the chant or whatever it was, guys, this is a problem, okay? This is a problem. Let me see where this starts.
Sanctuary cities.
Okay, so this is where it actually starts.
Sanctuary.
Stop doing that. Okay. So let me get you this. I'm going to show you the video here where she starts yelling, and they've got a camera on her. And the sad part of it is that she's accurate to a point, because he is the commander-in-chief, and anything that happens from the west coast to the east coast to the north border to the southern coast and southern border of America, he is responsible for every single human being in America. You are right, Ilhan Omar. Do you realize that, folks? When you assign yourself to take on an office, that means that you're holding responsibility for the people that you're representing as a representative government. You are representing them, and if any of them are harmed or any of them are failing, it is honestly part of your responsibility. Sorry, but let's listen to what Elon does here, and this is why nothing means nothing anymore. This is why there's nothing special out there.
That protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
So that was the, there we go. Let me get that out of there before that turns into another video. So the point of that is that, again, we have a situation where someone is in there and they're going off on this whole idea of saying, oh, you're a killer, but here's the problem. When you do that in that situation, it's no longer a stance you're taking. It's no longer that. Now when you're screaming out, and then Trump's got to get all the way in the microphone like this so you can hear the entire... See, the problem is that that's what Trump was doing when he was getting louder in the microphone. He was causing it to reverberate, and his voice would then cover their sound. He did that purposely. I know what he was doing, and I don't blame him for doing it. But my point of this is that when I see these people go into this situation like this, and this is what they're going to do, why is that special? Why does that hold gravity? What does it really change? Who does it really help? What laws were changed? What things were done in Congress to be able to stop that from happening? Because here's the problem, Ilhan Omar. You have the ability to take away immunity. You could take away immunity from the police officers and from judges and from DAs so they could be held accountable for actual crimes that they commit daily. But see, Ilhan Omar, it's too easy for you to yell at a man who knows exactly what your immigration status is, exactly who you married and didn't marry, and know exactly what you're going to do or not do. This guy's already inside your head, Elon. But what happened to the apple cider vinegar guy with the syringe? What happened to that guy where you raised your fist and you were going to fight him? Remember that? You cocked your wrist up like you were going to give him one? And then we found out he was actually just on your payroll and it was all a big stunt and it didn't work out the way you wanted, Elon? See, my point of this is that when we do this and we do these kind of things, it cheapens up everything else. So what is special? You, Congressman, you want me to hold you in some type of reverence as a United States representative, but the person above you, you can't do that. So you want me as the owner of this country, of this republic. You want me as the owner of the president and the Congress and all that. I am the owner. You are the public servant, Elon. Now, Elon, you want me to pronounce your name right. You want me to give you all this respect. But you can't do that for the authority that's directly above you, whether you like it or not. And this person does have that. The sad part of it is, guys, is this is how this country was built. And it's built on, yes, checks and balances. That means that she doesn't get to go do that without recourse. Just like if you had a case and if you thought it was really worth it, you would be impeaching him and you would be running a recall election for Trump to be moved out of office because he killed Americans. Your words, I will go along with you. Hey, Julie D., good to see you. This is where I keep seeing these things where I want, okay, all right, we're going to protest, but then we're just beating up random white people on the street that have nothing to do with the protest, that are not reporters, they're not, private eyes, they're not, podcasters, and none of that. They're just in the wrong place. But then you find out about the paid actors. Then you find out that all the protests that we've been seeing for the last 10 years, almost 10 years, guys, or it is 10 years. I don't know if you want to, it's been 10 years. All the protests, remember all the protests when it started in 2016 and 2017? Those were all paid actors. Going through the shutdown where the government told everybody to stay home because there was nothing happening to anybody and nobody was dying. All those protests, remember, those got to still happen when you were told to stay home. But they were paid. So were the protests really worth it? And are protests even a valid thing to do anymore? Do you protest? Because now protests are just paid actors. In which we've said that. I have said that on this show a bazillion times. Maybe not quite a bazillion. Somewhere below a bazillion. Who knows? But my point is that I have literally talked about the paid actors. I've talked about the people at January 6th that I personally saw that were paid actors. I took photographs and published an article in the Gateway Pundit and the what's the other one? There's two. I got a couple different articles out there for that one. But I talked about the paid actors. I didn't talk about guilt. I didn't talk about any of those things. I just talked about the fact that I saw paid actors and I photographed them. So the point of it is that if police are paid actors, if FBI act like paid actors, and protesters are paid actors, and then we're finding out that Joe Biden is a paid actor, what's special about any of this shit? Elon Omar, you killed Americans! What's special about that, Elon? Listen, he could literally have killed 1 million people. Pa-cow, pa-cow, pa-cow. One bullet at a time, right? Pa-cow, 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 pa-cow. And it doesn't matter because of what you're doing and because you have watered down and washed out everything that has value to it and that meant something, because when people would protest, it meant that there was something to listen to, not you just bitching about you don't like him. I have literally watched thousands, I'm sure, thousands of hours of interviews of people, street interviews. I've had conversations with people. What policy has been enacted that has limited your freedoms or liberty? What has happened to you personally from this person, this orange man bad guy? Tell me, please, and all of the things that you have done. What is it that has affected you? Oh, it's going to happen. It's gonna, if you don't stand up now, it's gonna happen. Uncle Barry was putting journalists, actually paid newspaper, TV journalists, in prison for not liking what they were saying. And I'm not making that up. I didn't even know it happened, so don't yell at me. I didn't even know it was happening. I found out just a few years ago that old Uncle Barry and Uncle Bill were real good about putting journalists that they didn't like behind bars. Raiding their houses, raiding their apartments, raiding their offices, going after their family members. I'm not exaggerating any of this. And if everything we've seen in the stupid the Jeffy files, then I mean, god dang, guys, are you not paying attention? Sorry, guys, I haven't been reading the comments here. I'll have to catch back up a little bit. Brenda's here. Dave Glevin, what's up? What's up, guys? Courtney Allen here. I work in a factory, probably with 40 men. There's like 6 of us women. Factory talk is hilarious to me. One of the funniest things they say when someone gets hurt on the machine is, go home and soak it in cider. And oh, my gosh. Well, that's true, though. That's what we do. We make fun of it because you know what? We don't have time to sit around and wait for I'm supposed to not get out of bed for the first 3 months after my injury. I wasn't supposed to get out of bed. I was supposed to maintain being still, using my little breathing exercise machine, but not exerting myself, not pushing myself, not going out on, not thinking about getting in an airplane, going to LA, none of that. But guys, just rub some dirt on it, man. That's why I'm 54, and I was really trying to figure out how not to tell you guys I was in the ICU, but it was going to come up that I wasn't broadcasting. Because I didn't want to tell you I was hurt. Because there's times I've sat in this very chair, and I've never told you all the pain I was in. I did appreciate the other day Curly May catching the fact that my pain levels were so high, she could see it in the color of my face. Julie's here. Courtney Allen still doing the Terrence William, man. Thank you so much for being here. I got a tickle in my throat. Dave Levin says Central Casting. Well, Dave, I've actually looked up Central Casting, and you know what their job description is? Everything we're talking about. Paid protesters. Flash mobs. I'm not shitting you. It's in their literature. Literature. Sabrina Gear, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Courtney Allen says, JA6, my fave is the article published by TDW, Daily Wire, that was published at 9:38 a.m., then nothing happened until afternoon. Oops. By the way, guys, again, if you're not seeing, you guys were asking for disclosure for the last 8 or 9 years, since the whole Q thing kind of came up, and it gave you that word disclosure and, hang 'em high and Gitmo. And nobody talked about Gitmo. Guantanamo Bay, nobody talked about Gitmo. But all of a sudden, everybody's a Gitmo expert. How many millions of dollars a year they've been putting in the expansion of Gitmo. But what I'm going to tell you is that the stuff that we are seeing about how the world really works is going to hurt your feelings. It's going to hurt my feelings. It's going to hurt your memories. It's going to hurt my memories. And I have done a lot of work. Guys, I've seen this day coming. Since it all really got disclosed, I think 2017 was, hey, get your shit together. Like I've been saying on this show for, I don't know, since then. I have. Since I started the show, I've been talking about get your shit right. Get your shit in the right place. Make sure you're ready. And if that means you have to make your own purified water and you got to figure out how to dehydrated food or whatever you got to do, get yourself right. Because it's coming. And a lot of this hurts. I've had to go back and, hey, guys, like I told you 1,000 times, I've been the Mr. Military, defense contractor, love my country, believed everything we were doing was absolutely the right reason to do it, and we were in all the right places for all the good reasons. I was that guy. I was the guy who, I was out there for everybody. I was out there to make it a thing. I wanted to make sure our country was the strongest and best. I would put in long hours and make sure that everything I was doing was always above board the best I could. But I've had to go back and redo all my stuff in my head. I've had to go redo my own identity. What makes you so special? What makes it special that you don't have to do any work at all? You can just sit around and just wait for the things to change. La, 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 la. And then you're good? You don't think you got to work on that a little bit? You don't think it's going to hurt your head? How about the last time you broke up with somebody? Or how about the last time you actually, you had to go to a funeral and you cried about the loss of that individual? That's your mind rewriting your future because they're no longer here. They're no longer a part, even though you knew it was coming or maybe it was a surprise. But your mind has got to rewrite your mental future as well as things from the past. Because no longer can you go back and you gotta make sure and hard stamp some time things because they're not there to verify it through them. There's all kinds of things the brain does when you separate yourself from a human being. When you lose that connection, it's real. It's an absolute real thing. We got Marcia entered in here. Good to see you, Marcia. Thank you so much for being here. Oprah, thank you for your service, Jim. Well, no, thank you. I love my country. I enlisted at 17. I was actually working at McConnell Air Force Base as a 17-year-old man before I ever went to basic training. And I love my country. I was a Marine ROTC in high school. We would go do parades. We did. We actually had a firing range. We used to shoot targets on Tolleson Union High School property. We actually had N1 Garands that we would time speed test to assemble and disassemble, and we had to keep our scores up of marksmanship in the firing range too, as well. So yeah, the stuff that I grew up around and things that there's no way this world could have that today. We're all a bunch of wussies out there, and I do mean wussy with a capital W. But the problem is that we can't have that conversation because, oh, by God, no, that's not how. But I think that we all ought to trust each other a little more often. I think less laws and less government makes us better. I really do. I think the pushing down on a spring only makes the spring want to push back. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Pushing down on a spring only makes a spring want to push back. Is that not correct, Ed? Ed, are you with me on that one? If the more you push on a spring, the more the spring pushes back. Isn't that a correct analogy or a correct description? But if you push on people hard enough and you continue to do that hard enough and long enough, eventually they're going to push back. Eventually there's going to be something that happens, and it's not going to be fun for you. So I don't know. I look at a lot of what we're going through in this day, and I wonder if we haven't just built our own mousetrap of things. Big facts. The worst is mourning someone who's still alive. Oh, I know. My immediate family are still living, but I mourned them 6 years ago. I know. I know. Courtney, and here's the thing, guys. Listen, let me do something for you real second on that. Courtney, and the reason that does change and the reason that people move away from you, a lot of it, let's do this. Let's say that you're wearing linen, you're sun gazing in the morning, getting that good 20 minutes of sun gazing every morning. You're grounding your feet in the soil. You're keeping the socks and shoes off your feet as often as possible. You're constantly touching the ground. You're constantly getting up and touching things and looking through the leaves of the tree and having the photons go through your body. Do you know that you actually receive photons underneath a tree? That's why you're so calm when you lay under a tree. If you guys want to actually have energy and heal your bones and those things, you get out in the sun and let the vitamin D and the melanin get in your body and start producing in that tan color. But if you want to actually feel relaxed, you want to feel that joy, that's why hammocks and blankets and picnics are always under the trees. The more trees you plant, the more photons that will be emitted down to you. When you stand under an oak tree or a pine tree or an elm tree or any tree at all, the leaves actually filter through, but the photons still come down and touch you. And they're very healing. It's an amazing process. It'll calm your body. But see, we don't get to talk about the energy that's all around us as the sun is soaked into the tree and it takes the carbon out of the air and creates the tree because a tree grows up out through the top, okay? But you never see a 10-ton tree in a 10-ton hole in the ground, right? No, because it absorbs the atmosphere, the minerals around it, the things around it, and turns it into oxygen to feed you. But you haven't planted a tree in your entire life. When's the last time you planted a tree? I've already had this lecture with you guys before. You're not in trouble, but I do want to call you out on it. When's the last time you planted an actual tree? And this is important, right? But as we go in throughout all of our day, there is an energy that's exchanged with us, and the sun and the tree absorbs the sun. And then as you chop the tree up and you burn the tree, the sun's energy, the infrared and all the wavelengths from the sun, the exact wavelengths come out of the wood called fire. Oxidation of the wood, the sun comes back into the body and heals the body through infrared and exciting the mitochondria of the body. That's one thing that's happening. But in your life, your frequency and who you are is going to do this. It's going to change. Your barometer, your thermometer, your up, your downer, whatever you want to call it, whatever your measuring stick is. But there will be people in your life that it may be your mother, it may be your father, it may be your best friend from high school, it may be everybody you know. But if you start to elevate and you start to move up above them and they don't want to keep up, they will fall away out of your life. Or let's say you want to go to a dark place and you start getting more internal and you want to be more selfish and self-centered and ego-driven and you're all in here and it's all about me. And you're wearing the Lululemon nylon, all that plastic all over your body and getting your disrupted estrogen and you're getting all dysphoria in the head and the liver's all blown out and you're not touching the ground and you're putting all the sugar in there and your energy's just grinding you down here. Then you're not going to be able to reach those people, right? They're going to seem like, well, what's wrong with you? Are you better than I am? Oh. And think about these patterns in your life as I describe these. Think about them and how they, in real time, how you notice these. But as you elevate, you'll see people come along with you. And then you'll see people fall away. They may be at the same level, but they kind of moved over here in a different path. But you can resonate with them in a moment's notice. In a second, you just like, hey, how's it going? Hey, beautiful, how are you, dude? You have missed your soul. How has it been? Can't wait to see you and hang out with you. Love hearing from you. Thank you. And those people kind of bounce in and out of your life. But then there are people that you're up here and they're down there and they're kind of trying to get that succubus energy out of you, right? But the problem is that sometimes when you go into those positive energies, you do lose people because they don't see how you can live like that. They don't see how you can be positive. They don't see how you can actually take something. And I had this discussion this morning. I said, well, some people will see an accident and go, oh my gosh, it was horrible. The cars was boom. And then the other person goes, man, you should have seen it because she was pushed out of the car. It actually saved her life because the car would have rolled out on top of her, but it just broke her arm. That was so cool. What a miracle. What a miracle. What a miracle that individual saw something special in a broken arm. Just like when I fell straight back, I didn't hit my head directly on the tub. I did still go unconscious, but my ribs slowed the impact. Yes, I was knocked unconscious, but I wasn't killed. Imagine if I would have hit my head on the corner of that cast iron tub at full speed doing timber. Well, the miracle was I had 7 fractures and a punctured lung. That's the miracle, folks. That's the difference. And so sometimes in your life, as you're trying to be better and you're trying to do those things and you're not being a pompous ass and you're just being a jerk about it, and I'm so great, look at me, bow down. That's self-centered. That's not me. That's what we're talking about. But your elevation of who you are, and some people come up there and they'll snipe at you and bite at you and they'll try to put tentacles on you and, well, remember, you owe me and you're my and I yours, and but they never want to elevate. They never want to get better. And the problem is I do have people in my life I miss, people that I thought were my friends. I still miss my friend Dennis from high school, but his life is different than mine and we don't resonate in the same way. And I miss him dearly. I think he was a great guy. I know he's gone through a lot. There are people that I miss. There's people that I barely remember from childhood because I moved around probably 3 to 5 schools per year, every single year until I got to junior high or until I got to 5th grade. I did get 5th grade all the way through. I did miss 2 weeks, though. My mom pulled me out of school early. But I was also in advanced classes. Never mind, it's a whole thing. But my mom pulled me out early of school, so I didn't actually get to complete it. So she's still just kind of screwed with things, that was a thing. But I didn't get to remember. I don't have a lot of friends from those years, so I was in and out of lives and schools and things and places so often. But at the same time, there was a couple people, and I would almost like to just, hey, I just wonder how they're doing, But there are people in my life that I have cried about. There are people in my life that I wonder why it is that I could not be their friend, what it was that I did that it wasn't worth showing up for, worth just being a friend. And that's because their energy is different than mine. Because they're not the person I thought they were. I had actually given them way more credit for being a way better person than they could ever accomplish. And I was really seeing the better in them. I really saw the special in them. But they didn't want to be special. They didn't want to be great. They didn't want to be that. And so those people I've shed tears for and I've missed. And there's times I think about, if I pick up the phone and if I text them, will that make them better? Will it make it better this time? Will he respond in a different way? Will he invite me to his birthday? Will she, be my whatever, my friend again, or my coworker, or a person I can use advertising, or have them be my advertiser specialist? I mean, there's people that I had business relationships with, and their frequencies have changed, and we've walked there. We're not the same anymore. We're just not there. And so when you talk about that, Courtney, in a real way, I want you to remember that it's actually a thing. When people's energy changes, right? Okay, well, their energy changed and their fear took over because they wanted to get the jabs. They wanted that government chemical. They wanted to be safe. They didn't want to be wrong. So they went ahead and did what the doctors and the science and the news and the government and $1 trillion worth of advertising did. They spent $1 trillion on advertising, folks. I want you to listen to me. Globally, the mark is somewhere around $1 trillion was spent to get you to take that government chemical. I don't think PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Ford, Chevy have spent that much money in the entirety of their businesses combined. Just kind of putting it out there if you really think about what $1 trillion in advertising really is. You had celebrities, you had statesmen, you had princes and kings and governors and presidents and prime ministers, and they were all telling you. And that fear was real, and fear is a very, 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 very easy animal to take over you, and it will just engulf you. That's what the whole That's what the Guthrie thing is about. The Guthrie thing is about scaring old people and getting a bunch of webcams everywhere. The Guthrie thing is about getting everybody plugged into Google Cloud. Oh, the Google Cloud wasn't plugged in, so we can't find her. Cool, golly. Well, everybody went out and renewed their Google Cloud, didn't they? I guarantee you there was a huge uptick, and we should have bought into Google Cloud and the Ring camera and the other, whatever the other ones are. We should have bought all their stocks for $100 a piece and watched us 10 times our money. Because all of a sudden the profits start rolling in because there was a big rush of old people. Oh, Savannah Guthrie, oh my God. Yeah, the cartel took her. But it had nothing to do with the other part where they did 3 weeks of back-to-back, wall-to-wall coverage of an old lady who was abducted by the cartel, but yet there's still 26,000 missing people in America since the first of the year. 26,000 unfound American people have been reported missing. 26,000, that's a small town. They're just gone. And the number keeps climbing all year long. But this chick got wall-to-wall coverage for 3 weeks. That was all about keeping you distracted. That was all about keeping you everywhere else but where you needed to be. Paying attention to what your government's doing. Lisa's here. Can we talk about Brian, who is running for school board? Yes. Yeah, we could get him on the show. I haven't talked to Brian in a little while. Let's get him on the show. Get him on the show. Let's get him on the show Monday. We do that. I'm 35, 36 this year. I've moved 25 times where I live now. 11 years in this place. I've been the longest in my entire life. Yeah. Courtney, I get it. Absolutely. I mean, the first place I actually kept for myself was my, and stayed in one place for a long period of time was my own place, except for Marge and Charlie's. But I was only with them off and on. I was with them for my 5th grade year, my junior high years, which would be 2, so that's a total of 3 there. I think I was there with them in third grade, and I was with 4th grade, with 5th grade with them. Anyway, I was back and forth, but when I was ever with my mom, man, it was school after school after school after school. It was crazy. Ugh. Anyway, ride the Trailways bus. I love Trailways. I didn't like Greyhound buses. That's how much I knew about buses and stuff. The Trailways buses were always nicer, a little bit cleaner, and more professional, I felt. Who knew? That's my professional review of Trailways bus that no longer exists. But I used to ride that 3-day bus ride by myself. I was 8 years old, my first bus ride. So Marge and Charlie put me on a bus, sent me to Phoenix to see my mom. So 3 days and $20, and don't spend it all in one place. So it was cool, man. I tell you, it's been an adventure, right? But what has changed though now is that who I am and those experiences, I can tell you where those things are coming in, and I can see the pitfalls of things. And so we should be so much better for each other. We have the opportunity, right? We could do that. So and anyway, going back to Elon Omar and all those guys, that's where all this all started, was just talking about being a better us, and I apologize for going off on the deep end of all that. But the fact that these people get up there and yell and tell, Trump that, he killed people, this and that, guys, who cares? Who cares? I mean, the way that you're doing it and have done it, and again, there's no seriousness to it. The protests are all paid for. The emotions are all paid for. It's all acting. It's all bullshit. So, again, it's just not necessary to be that way. And I'm not saying roll over and give in, but there is a time for everything. And if you're a legislator, you have the opportunity to present any legislation you want. So do impeachment. Elon Omar, put your name on impeachment papers. Make it a thing. Make it happen. But she won't. Elon Omar got on there last night and talked about having any regrets on CNN. CNN. Let's see what she had to say. You guys want to watch it? I'll go ahead and spin it up here so you guys can see it. There we go. All right, let's see what she had to say. I haven't listened to this clip, so we'll find out.
CNN reported before that speech that the House Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, advised your caucus, the Democratic members, to either skip the State of the Union address or sit there in silence? Should you have just boycotted the address, and do you think you violated the guidelines set out by your own leader?
No, I think it was really unavoidable. The president talked about protecting Americans, and I just had to remind him that his administration was responsible for killing 2 of my constituents.
In Minneapolis, many members of your Democratic Party criticized their Republican counterparts when they interrupted President Biden's State of the Union address, as a lot of us remember. Do you have any regrets at all about the interaction we played between you and President Trump just last night?
I do not, and I think many people look at that moment when the president says it is our responsibility to protect Americans. And he does not acknowledge the fact that 2 Americans, 2 of my constituents, 2 of our neighbors were killed. And it was important for me to just remind the American people that the president...
I just can't do her voice. She just drives me up. I still go back to the Haspala. Oh, that interview pisses me off sideways. Dave Glevin says Ilhan Omar's guest got arrested too. He was asking to leave and then removed. Good. Did you watch her interview about her winery and how white men are most scary? Okay, well, I've seen clips on some of that. I haven't seen all of it, but I will tell you this, guys. She turns on the victim so fast. It is brilliant how well she can do that. Oh, white man, I'm just so scared, huh? But you better not come after me because I'll kill you. I mean, it's like, holy crap, lady. The bipolar much? Like, what are you doing there? You scared of me and I don't know you. I don't know what accent that was, but I'm sure it was offensive to somebody. Anyway, and whoever that was, anyway. It's, Dave's getting out there, buddy. Get him, Dave. Get him, Dave. This is where I've talked about, the word dossier and quid pro quo and all these words we used the shit out of and just pissed me off sideways. I was like, stop using quid pro quo. I'm tired of saying quid pro. I'm tired of hearing the word. I've never heard it. Like I maybe 3 or 4 times in my whole life it was ever used, right? And you knew it, but you didn't ever use it. And then the dossier, the Russian dossier, the Russian dossier. Anyway, I just went off on all that for no good reason. It gets old. It does get old. But here's the thing on that winery. She did get asked about how the winery didn't even have a phone number. There was some... They're now people. Here's the thing. By the way, they found the building where the winery is supposed to be, and it's an abandoned building. If I remember right, it's like an abandoned building, or it's in a building where there's no winery. Like if you were building a winery, kinda, and you're making like 5 bottles a year, you still wouldn't have built it in this building that it was supposedly in. But it was a winery, which means you had to have product and grapes and casks, and that's what those are called. The barrels are called casks, so as far as I know. Anyway, I went on that website, could not buy wine on it. Oh, Dave, we were going to help her out with a little bit of wine purchasing. Look at you being a patriot, huh? That guy. So, guys, it just, this whole thing with the State of the Union address and all the bullshit that went behind it, I really do. I don't want us to be stoic, okay? I don't want us to sit there and everybody's like, for an hour and a half or 2 hours, you're just dead. You're dead facing, just pan facing the camera. There was some people that fell asleep. I've gotten there too. I mean, sometimes you get in your suit and you had a little bit of food there and you're kind of sitting and you're kind of slouching and then you're kind of leaning on your hand and then your eyes are going, oh man, I bet if I close them, nobody will notice. Yeah, oh yeah, man, I feel so good. My eyes are burning. Holy shit. Yeah, we've all done it. Now, I'm not blaming them for it, okay? I'm not mad about that. I'm mad about the disruption of things. You can sit there and you can hold your finger up and you can give him the, whatever, the heart sign. I don't care. Do your thing and your little thing. Be quiet. Just sit there. And the little paddles they had, okay, do your little... And those were really expensive auction paddles, weren't they? The round ones on a stick. Isn't that what Sotheby's uses? Did Sotheby's donate the paddles for them so they could put on there? But nothing special, guys. If Elon Musk can sit there as a foreigner, and let me get a little aggressive here for a second. Listen, if you were born in another country and you got elected to our Congress, you better freaking act like you love this country in ways that I've never imagined. But for you to be born in another goddamn country and then we got suspicion you're marrying your brothers and cousins and whatever and having babies with them, okay, listen, shut it. You got nothing. You got nothing. Don't come into my Congress yelling at my president when you do not actually have naturalized citizenship. You actually were given privilege. You were given privilege. And if you're abusing that privilege by going into my House of Representatives, screw you sideways, chick. Get your next hot boat out of here, wherever you're going to do. Bye. Go. Because you don't like it here. You don't like this country. You don't like America. You don't like our laws. You don't like our guns. You don't like our food. You don't like our dogs. By the way, guys, look it up. Muslims do not like dogs. They believe that dogs in a home is actually bad luck. That every time a dog is in your house it's like it has a barometer. So if they're in a room, it's like 4 points of negativity. There's a whole thing. But this broad over here telling you that she can say what she wants to your president when he's actually trying to purvey to the country what he thinks the country is doing, which is what is supposed to happen, and you want to get in there and you want to throw a little fit, screw you, lady. I'm out. I am so over the idea that someone who was given citizenship, given the privilege to be an American, will act as that way. And that's not me trying to be racist. That's not me trying to be Republican or Democrat. That is me as a citizen of this country. I'm a disabled vet for this country. I spent almost 20 years for this country designing amazing projects for them to be able to do amazing things and protect them. And this broad wants to sit in my Congress and do that? And call him a killer? You're not even a citizen. You don't even own a house. AOC does not own property. She still, according to our original Constitution, couldn't have the right to vote yet. But yet she can run her mouth about how horrible this world is, but yet she's a multi-millionaire coming from a broken background and a bartender's background, and then suddenly goes to a casting call, and now she's a Congress lady. She's got more authority to talk shit than Elon does, but hey, Elon, get out there and run your mouth, broad. But by the way, there was supposed to be like some 40 or 50 of these people in the alternative State of the Union where they all sat around with frogs or something. I don't know. It was really weird. Anyway, they didn't have their half those people didn't show up. So half the people of the Democrats who really just hate Trump and all that other stuff didn't go to the alternative State of the Union and still went and watched Trump anyway. You get that, right? You get where their heart's at, right? You get where this is really at, right? This is the problem. And these people do sit in these ivory towers and somehow believe that they're untouchable. I can get on a plane in Wichita, Kansas, and it's a nonstop. I think it's either two or there's at least one, if not two, nonstop flights to Washington, D.C. every day of the week. I could be there in 3.5 hours and confront her about her behavior. But they don't fear you, and they don't fear me. And the problem is me confronting her because they have diplomatic prosecutable immunity. Look it up. Police officers, judges, DAs, oh yeah, they all got this immunity thing going. Well, they gave themselves immunity, but on your Constitution, it says that no one does. But they gave them to themselves. That's why they act that way. Terrence Williams says the frogs were funny. Oh, yeah, Terrence. Actually, there was some really hot. I mean, I saw some clips from it, and I laughed because these people were serious about what they were doing, and it was really it was almost like a Saturday Night Live skit. I mean, I'm just saying. It was really. All right, guys. Qualified immunity. Oh, that's what it is, Dave. Thank you for that. I always forget qualified. Oh, it's qualified? How did you qualify? Well, I took a job, I passed the test, and I got a gun. Duh. And I got immunity. That's not cool, man. I don't know how we do that. I don't know how you could sit around and say you cannot hold someone accountable for a murder because it's in their job description. What? Anyway. All right, guys. Well, I am going to get out of here. It's been great seeing you. I didn't mean to get all long-winded about stuff, but that energy thing and Courtney talking about, mourning the families that we may have missed or mourning friends and things of that. Like I said, I've had people I've missed and I would love to see, and friends I'd love to see Dennis and see how he is, but, I mean, we're just not there anymore, right? People have moved away and moved into life. I've had people move away and come back into my life. And it's great to see them when they do, and I appreciate that, and I understand where they may be, and sometimes it's just in passing, two ships in the dark effect, right? But my point is that we got to be ready for when people do need our help, when they do need us to reach down and kind of help lift them up, and sometimes we got to give them a little mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. We got to give them a little energy. And we got to be able to give that over as a way of us giving back, right? Because we've elevated ourselves, and sometimes those people just need a little bit so they can feel like, okay, it can happen. It can. Okay, when Jim's positive in this way, I'm like, I got to think in that way too, and so I got to be around Jim more, and I got to do better, right? And sometimes they do. People will step up and step in, and they'll be that person. But I've had people that, think that they're amazing and God touched them and whatever, and they don't talk to me anymore. They don't talk to me. See, that's the point is, guys, I'm not unreachable. Oh, hey, Ed, by the way, I know you left a voicemail, but it never came through. It shows as a notification on my phone, but it won't come through, so I apologize if you sent me a voicemail earlier. Anyway, as soon as I can listen to it, I will, and I'll respond to it, but anyway, Ed, I appreciate the phone call, but I couldn't even listen to the voicemail either. So, anyway. All right, guys, remember that 10% we do for our neighbor, community, city, county, state, the federal government. The more you do for them, the less they have to do for you. Learn how to be selfless. Like the whole day. The whole episode today. Not so damn selfish like Nancy Pelosi and others. There will be a far, far better place. Remember, hold the line, hold fast, do not give up, do not give in, we'll win. I promise I make promise I can't keep, guys. You've always been the answer out there. Remember the Constitution, that little hemp paper stuff, the cool stuff that actually will save thousands of trees a year if we just started growing hemp again as a wild plant and everybody could just have it. If we would just, here's the thing, hey, you want to feel good about things? Start demanding hemp paper and hemp clothes, and you will save thousands of trees per year because they're cutting down trees for pulp that they use in paper and things like that. And but in reality, hemp is renewable, and it actually strengthens the soil where we don't have to cut down trees. We can use trees for building and for other things where then a lot of our building costs would change. And so we wouldn't be using a lot of trees for pulp. Pulping is a very hard process, and we don't need to do that. But hemp is far cleaner and more beneficial, and it's actually more biodegradable. It's actually a whole better product anyway. All right, guys. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. And remember to say, hold the line, hold fast. Do not give up. Do not give in. We'll win. I promise. I make promise I can't keep. Remember that? I say, I'm not going to keep. Yeah, and that's it. We've already done the Constitution. I screwed all that up today. I did the Constitution early. Remember the Constitution limits you, but not the government? Yeah, I did that early. I was just breathing heavy on the phone. Oh, Dave, you heard the message already? Well, that's not fair. Boy, I tell you. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Good seeing you. I will have my buddy on Friday, and Rick Hill will be on Friday. He's going to talk about his cancer journey, his book, and also B17. which is rncstore.com, promo code price. rncstore.com, promo code price. Get your apricot seeds, apricot mill, and all that good stuff. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm Jim Price. This is the Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys all be good to each other out there. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.